Hello, once again, dear viewers, and welcome back to another Moonflower Tarot reading. In today's message, I'm opening up to the collective and the collective energies around you at this time to see what healing messages might need to come through. I'm just sort of vibing with the energy right now. And if you're new here, um, I'm a little bit of a storyteller, and I'm being asked to be put in storyteller mode for the time being. I am doing divination, and I appreciate if you've been here from the beginning. Any help you can give to this channel is welcomed, and I really thank you for being here this day. Immediately right off the bat, I just got this message that you are transmuting a lot of energy. There's been this presence in the collective of ancestors coming forward and healing generational karma. I'm also okay, so the main focus today is about not just healing you, but how can your ancestors heal you? Because they can't necessarily do the healing work for you, but they want to help you transmute this. And I think today I'm going to honor that and respect that and see what has to come through to you. We have the Five of Coins, Five of Pentacles, and I think this has been a consistent theme. Ooh, okay, so right off the bat, dear viewers, you are music people, just like myself. And if you're new here, yes, I am a very speak through art and music type of person, and I do appreciate and vibe with that collective, and I think this channel might be drawing in that group because more and more I am seeing music coming through my readings and being downloaded. So as always, I will link that music in the description below to help you heal as well. And yeah, I just heard, oh, and by the way, I do actually add a lot of Christian music because that's how I was raised and my family raised me. But I also like to incorporate that even in my spiritual work, because it does actually help heal. You know, music, songs, even when we see our churches or our religions going in a darker direction, as is common with a lot of, practices across the history of our civilizations and species, there is still a grain of truth, and that can be found in music because that's how God speaks through our souls. That's the language of the angels for a reason. It is a voice of unconditional love for our souls. So that's what I will say when I do link a Christian music, whether you identify as that or not. But there is a song for him called "Measure of a Man." You know, whether you identify as male or female is irrelevant because it's God sees in your heart, and it's basically what's in the heart that defines the measure of a man. A measure of a man is not how tall you stand, how wealthy or intelligent you are. It's what's in your heart. It's what's in your heart that defines your worth. So there's a lot of energy transmuting through you and by you about your worth and how it's dictated by the world around you, which the world around you does not understand value in humanity itself or things. There's a lot of value placed on objects that are intentionally made to be obsolescent, but human beings and human souls are not and never will be. Oh, I got passionate. Your ancestors came through with the fire of Archangel Michael and Gabriel and says, you will never be obsolete. You will never be not enough. You are always worthy. You are always enough. You are worth more than all the freaking rich dudes of this goddamn world because they value money and they feel like if they don't have it, they are incomplete. That money defines their completeness. Our souls and our ability to love each other defines ours. And as long as you're working towards that goal of continuing to value yourself by your own soul alone, from the beginning of my own self-love journey, one of the phrases I had to keep repeating to myself time and time again is, I am worthy of love because I exist. You exist, therefore you are worthy of love. You have worth. And don't let a single soul in this world, in this universe, dictate your worth based on what you have or what you can do. God knows your worth. You know your worth. Don't let anyone else define your worth. Do not put your identity in the hands of someone who will minimize who you are, because there are a lot of people out there who like to cast judgment on others for what they do and do not have, or have and have not achieved, who are just wearing a mask because their own insecurities tell them that they are never enough. And you don't have to wear that mask for them. Free yourself from those chains, dear viewers. You are worthy of being free. And one of the parables that actually came up for me, um, alongside some of these channel messages I've been receiving, was the um, the story of the founder of the church, Paul. When he was spreading the word of Jesus, and essentially back then it was that Christ-like unconditional love energy. It was literally the path he walked was being preached. The love he had was being trying to come out and almost reprimanded by people controlling society, because society is basically being ruled by people who want us to be staying in the dark and shadow and hating each other. But the church and Jesus was talking about loving everyone, being charitable. And even if you are the Son of God, you have no right to dictate other people's worth. No one has the right to do that, because essentially the only one who can cast judgment is the creator of all. And that's the thing. He didn't put himself above others. He was here to lead the way in front of us, follow in his footsteps, follow by my example. That's what a true leader does. But when someone wants to rule with an iron fist, they don't lead by example. They lead by force. They, you know, they lead based on fear. And people who lead based on fear often lose their throne. They don't get remembered in the history books as being good people. They're often demonized. They were criminals on the throne. God isn't sending in criminals to rule over the people. He's sending in leaders to show the way, to raise children and act in a way of faith. And Paul literally lived in that freedom of spirit, that even in the jail cells, he was writing to his fellow brothers and sisters out there in the world saying, share this light, even in the secrecy of your own home. Do not worry about me. He was basically apprehended at one point, because he often was. He was apprehended all the time because people were like, don't preach about this Jesus guy. Too many people saying I deserve better and I'm going to help my neighbor. And, we can't actually rule over you people if there's another or better way to live as a society. So we're just going to lock you up in a jail cell. And Paul was like, okay, then I'm going to sing because I'm proving a point. I might be in prison in my physical body, but my soul is free. God set me free. I am singing. You cannot dim my spirit. You cannot take my soul. And that's why even in the darkest of night, shining that light, it's not easy, but when you do so, you are free. That even in the prisons, you can be free. And keep that in mind too, that being imprisoned is also a state of mind with people who are inherently born free and with privilege, and on the outside it looks like they have it all, but then they act from this space of lack mentality, like they don't have enough, they're out in the cold. And this is a theme that comes up a lot, because that's what we are breaking free from as a society, as generational karma, is the idea of what does freedom look like. It's a state of mind. if you look at like even ascended masters like Buddha and Gandhi, it's that state of mind is your heaven, your enlightenment. You are what you decide to be, what you think of most, your mantras, your ethics, your oath to your heart, to your fellow human beings. That state of mind is your purity. That is your enlightenment. And there's no prison or road you can walk down that will keep you stuck in that mindset, because you are inherently free. We were born free and we deserve to remain free, because no one can take away your beliefs or how you react to a person locking you away. Only you can decide how you react, and that's based on what your heart knows is true and is right. Because in a lot of ways, like Paul was committing civil disobedience. Like he wasn't being super like violent or protesting. He's like, okay, you're gonna lock me away into prison. Okay, fine. But I'm still gonna go out there and be like, hey, you hear about this guy who showed us a better way to live our lives? And that's just kind of what happens as a cycle with society. We are ready to live better lives, more unified lives, more ethical lives. And all societies have their own method of teaching this, because remember, with ascended masters, like there's not just one, because you know how many million people there are in the world. Even back then, there were a lot of people spread across different nations. So you're going to have a different ascended master or prophets or messiahs incarnate in each different region of society, who are going to speak that truth, who are going to show mastery, who are going to be a light and seed that into the world. So they're just saying the same thing, but in a different language to a different culture, and that evolves over time. But it comes from the same source, of that God source, of that love and light. And while I do still honor like the religion of my ancestors, I still grow and evolve with it, because that religion comes from a place of source, of love, of that heart of unconditional just unity and presence. And yes, I the more I go back and read those parables and remember those Sunday school lessons, I actually feel closer to Jesus now as a spiritual divinator than I actually did when I was devoted as a Christian in my church. And it's still the same heart I have and the love I have for that, and the way he taught me to move through, and the way I saw some of his disciples praying and just respectfully asking people to consider a better way. You know, it's about showing the way, and non-intrusive missionary work, like doing charity, because I like that sort of missionary work growing up, and I still like the idea of acts of kindness and charity. Like I will never stop doing that, because it is dear to my heart. And just going out there and just showing the love of Christ, not preaching it, not forcing it, not through fear, but by this is what you're going to see in your life, this unconditional love. So whoever has wronged you and left you out in the cold, who didn't believe in you, they don't believe in themselves. And don't feel the need to be stuck there with them, because they still have a responsibility to react and respond in a new and different way. And if they choose not to, it is not on you to save them, dear viewers. Do not stay back in the cold or try to save people who drag you back into their own lives or that mindset, because that is one of the biggest visions I got towards the a tail end of this healing journey. Um, was I basically had a dream where I had released a lot of generational baggage and karma, let me just say. And this was a few weeks ago. I was with someone that I had to cut cords from, let go of, and then I got to the point where I actually forgave them. And a few years back, I'm like, I will never forgive these people. And then, 2 years later, I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it now. I get why they did that. I understand that. And I forgave them, and I felt love and compassion. But, funny thing about memory, they enter into my dreams sometimes. And then I have to kind of reframe what I might need to work on. But I was given a vision of us basically in the afterlife, or in a spiritual sort of nexus, let's call it, in between lives. And we were it wasn't heaven, it wasn't hell, but it was depicted as a place that could be whatever it could be and whatever it's meant to be based on our flow of thought as a group of people. So it could be heaven if we all chose to love one another and be positive, or it could be hell if we chose to stay stuck in our old ways and trapped in a mindset. And when I started out this dream, it was sort of more of a purgatory. And then I was seeing people from my family. I was trying to move on in a positive direction and meet new people within this dream space. And a lot of the people from my past, and some of them who have moved on from this life or who are watching me from the afterlife, were there, showing me exactly the type of mentality my family was in. And essentially, it had to do with them taking some sort of inheritance from me without me knowing and almost against my will. And the person who was inheriting this to me just taking a stand and saying, no, I promise this to this person. You have no right to take that from her. But the people who are still alive were just very much shady, doing a lot of that. And I kind of knew that was going on. That was like, this is over like 10 years ago, by the way. I knew there was a lot of that energy happening as I was moving on. So I understood that enough. But the more I roamed through this dream space, it just kept getting darker and darker. Like I I just heard the phrase, God forbid they just let you be still for a moment. And that really is the mentality that often we get stuck in, running around to appease a family that will literally rob us blind if they have to. And a lot of infighting, just obsessing and greed and entitlement. So as this dream progressed, I was speaking to the higher self of someone I moved on from, but I still had love for, because there's a complicated thing there. It's a dual state of mind of, I love you, but I have to walk away and do what's best for me. And I was trying to speak to their soul and try to pray for them and pray to them. And I'm like, this world, within the dream, I literally said they're a higher self. This world can be whatever you want it to be. If you envision yourself in a beautiful green landscape with a rainbow, you can have it. And in front of me, I literally saw that. I saw an image of this tunnel with an opening to a bright green world with rainbows and light filtering into this dark space. But this person I was speaking with said, no, I don't want that. I have a right to feel my pain. You can't tell me to move on from it. And I'm like, then I'm not going to force you to. So I had to speak that to her soul. And then all of a sudden, the space turns dark. It becomes hell. I then said, hell is a state of mind you keep yourself in. And you'll never see yourself in heaven if you stay stuck to the parts of you that were anchored in hell, kind of that mindset. And she transformed into this being that was just like, see, I'm going to give you an image, but the people who stay stuck in that mindset that you can't take, you can't take them with you and they can't take you with them. She was depicted as, or their higher self was depicted as, because we're genderless beings, they were depicted as someone laying on an iron bench, like one you would see in a park, but it was all dark around them, and their head was in the shape of the. If you ever seen or heard of The Last of Us, I wouldn't recommend Googling it, but basically, the mushroom creatures. That's exactly what her head was. She was saying, I don't want to leave this place. I'm going to stay stuck in this mindset. She laid down on a bench and she turned into a mushroom creature. And I just moved on with my life. So I want you to bear that image in mind when you see someone say, I have a right to feel what I feel, and I'm never going to feel any other way. Or if you have someone come in and saying, listen, all this stuff happened to me. You have no right to talk about me leaving you behind, or everybody, or something like, everybody's going through it. You're not special, and the world is so dark, and we might as well blah, 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 blah. People who stay stuck in that mindset, that lack mindset of having everything, never being able to see the light, never being able to change, literally dying mushrooms. That's what they are on a soul level. And it was very good spiritual insight for me, because it had me approach a person who would have otherwise been extremely dis- toxic, let's just say, contaminated to my energy, like completely destructive, in a way that was very sympathetic but also cautious, because you don't want to get near one of those mushroom head people. Let me just say, it doesn't end well. But in a way, he was also saying to me, God, my higher self, and the person I was communicating with, like, I am immune to that, the spores, basically. I'm immune to being turned into that creature. Like that, the protagonist, Elle, I think her name was Ellie or something. It was like, yeah, I'm immune to that. I'm immune to the mushroom spores. I can't get sick from that. And that's what spirit means by you can't take them with you energetically and physically. That state of mind is theirs, and it was theirs to begin with, and it's no longer yours. It might have been yours to begin with, but you can choose to change. It is inevitable that we change. And in a way, if we're changing for the better as a society, we're all going to move in the same direction together. We're not alone. But those who stay stuck in that mindset are actually changing, but in a way their soul is decomposing. Oh yeah, that's okay. The type of mushroom her head was turning into, I was told, was an angel killer, and that is very poetic, and I do appreciate that. Whenever I work with the angels, they do give me messages and symbolism, because that's how I communicate, and that's me communicating through stories, symbolisms, and um, that sort of thing. It's um, the spiritual legacy I leave behind is very important to me, important to others. And I want that to hold true to you, dear viewers, or whoever's aligning with this. There is a soul light here of justice and mercy that wants to speak to you and through you and into the world wherever you are, and to eliminate this defeatist attitude and mentality almost from existence. But it takes time to heal that. And the positive side I learned about mushrooms is, well, they might seem as like these things that sprout out from death and decay. What they really are is a sort of ecological transmutation cycle. They exist. They're here underground, whether we know it or not. But when you see a mushroom pop up from the ground, don't run away. Don't think it's ugly or unusual. Don't be cruel to it. Because essentially, what that mushroom is doing is taking that decaying plant matter, bringing it into its being so that then it can decay and return that to the soil. So we have that process of ecological transmutation. The topsoil we see after everything is done, death and decayed, well, all the leaves cover and all the branches cover the ground, there are these mushrooms coming in to build a stronger foundation and better soil for the next seed cycle to sprout root. This mushroom who came into my dream, this person who was born into a basically dead family or society, or a dying family or society or generation or generational karma, had to show me what was happening beneath the surface, the death and decay, so she can pass on to me the means and the capacity to regrow on a better firmament soil, and the nutrients return to the earth from whatever she had taken from the family line and was passed to her to recycle back into me. And that is true to all of us. So don't see like these dead plants or these dying societies as a bad thing. As with everything, death is a natural part of life, and rebirth comes after that. It's not something to fear, it's something to rejoice, it's something to celebrate. It's something to learn to love, because our souls are immortal. Like our spirits never die, just our bodies do, and having a better relationship with a death and rebirth cycle. And it's not literal. Like, I didn't interpret that as being a literal dream of they are dying. I'm interpreting as our souls are immortal and our souls speak to each other, whether we are physically here or not. And her soul spoke to me and said, "This is what I had inherited from the family line. I am being reborn, not only through you, but so you can, from my decay, seed a new generation of lights into this family, into this world. So maybe one day the people in my family line or the people in my past or my history can be born in a better society, in a better family through my efforts alone and through the efforts of everyone I speak with or encounter, because it's not just a literal like bloodline, I will be reincarnated as my granddaughter thing. It's who you speak to is your family. All of you out there, everyone in this universe, the trees, the dogs, the cats, the birds and the bees, your family. We're all made from the same star stuff. And we're made from star stuff, but we're not going to get star stuck. Okay. Thanks, Gabriel. Y'all, he has all the quips. Y'all, just break up the seriousness. And some of you might have a very unique sense of humor. If you ever get messages like sarcastic humor, because I literally got Gabriel was like, "It smells like up dog in here," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, not that one." It was dad. It was basically dad humor. But yeah, I think that's a really good way to indicate that things are really going right for you and things have not gone wrong. In the past, they might have, but that's the important thing about death and rebirth. Don't think of a failed past cycle as, being a failure. It being a way for a new path forward to be formed from its ashes, so to speak, from whatever nutrients it leaves behind. It's a decayed mushroom, basically, was what I'm saying. I'm trying to get to it. I kind of got tongue-tied a little. Some of you might need to work on your throat chakra. I felt it closing a little. So I will kind of pull two more cards to see where we're going. Yeah, I'm feeling that in my throat chakra too. Okay, things are going to be moving a little bit faster in the collective. I'm hearing especially for you. I'm going to make a note of all the songs I receive. I think this entire reading, I've had a very big playlist. So I will make a note of them and, pick and choose what resonates with you. Because I have Angel Sandophon with me too, because whenever I get a lot of music channeled messages downloaded, she usually pops up as being part of this collective. Actually seeing the color peach and green and light pink. You're doing a lot of heart healing, it seems, or the angels are doing heart healing for you. Because I got derailed from my train of thought. That's exactly what the intent. Well, not the intention. What your ancestors were trying to transmute through me. Excuse me while I'm fighting my own tongue because I don't know why I got disrupted for a second. Yeah, you're transmuting energies and your ancestors are doing a lot of work behind the scenes. And it is happening very quickly and almost abruptly as these seeds have been planted. Like you're basically resurrecting through dead plant matter. I apologize. I got tongue-tied all of a sudden. I heard the phrase, respectfully, you don't owe anybody an apology. And some of you might have actually been affected by the messages I received, and that's the energy I'm picking up on, because I felt extremely uncomfortable for a second. And not in a bad way, just in a physical, like overstimulated way. I don't know if it makes sense. Like I needed to I'm gonna go with this because some of you might be feeling this right now. Let me guide you through this because this might have to do with the energy that your ancestors are helping you move through. Move through. Technology is important. Communicating to other people through technology. I'm seeing the symbol of Aquarius. I'm seeing a lot of gold light around you too. And I'm hearing the phrase, some of you might be identify as fair forest fairies, and I'm not sure what that means. Because being shown an image of an elf, pale skin, like long blonde hair, like walking through the woods. It sort of kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings. Like I don't remember any of the characters. It's not Legolas, but there was a, I don't know, like an elven prince I'm seeing walking through the woods wearing a particular outfit, um, and holding a staff. I'm hearing the phrase Elderon. Oh, okay. Elderon. Yeah. Oh no, that came up for me before. Well, this is interesting. Some of you might play Pokemon because oh, and Pokemon comes in generations. So when I played Pokemon uh, Pearl growing up, um, my starter Pokemon was Turtwig. I know. Um, I don't know why. I really love grass and fairy type Pokemon. So that might have been particular to me too, but also for some of you might have Celtic ancestry because Avalon also came up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I basically named my Turtwig Elderon, and I didn't know that Elderon basically I think it translates to like a field of elder trees or a forest of elder trees or an elder tree, like a type of tree or, a like a fully grown oak tree. But basically that seemed like the that seemed like the most fitting thing because his final evolution, oh my goodness, that I mean, you can't look at, I forget the name of it, a Turtwig's final evolution and not tell me that looks like an Elderon. And yeah, no, that goodness gracious. But yeah, anyway, and it's funny because that particular generation of Pokemon, it came out on the DS originally, and they had these multiplayer features. And I believe that was the one that had like a mining thing where you went underground and you mined for certain things. Um, so that might hold significance to you too. If your ancestors communicate through video games, because that's another valid form of communication. Like, I will not. There are a lot of different stories everywhere you look. Video games, like, absolutely, truly so. So many video games growing up have a story to tell and ways to connect. And absolutely, that is an artifact I'm hearing of our own ancestral line. And if our ancestors were alive today, they would play video games. Heck, I'll give you this piece of information before I leave you. My grandmother introduced me to my favorite video games because that's what she played a lot when, she was retired and she was home a lot. She played video games. That's how I knew about these certain things, and I wouldn't have gotten into some of the stories that gave me a lot of hope even during the pandemic. Because one of the one of the stories that got me through some of my spiritual healing was, oddly enough, Final Fantasy VI. If you're ever interested, try to look up that storyline out because it really is just about rebuilding from literally a destroyed world, or even like A Link to the Past is a good example. I connected most of the stories about death and rebirth because I have a lot of Scorpio placements, and you might even have some Sagittarius energy where you are very faithful and passionate to certain stories, or I'm hearing archives of music, and I'm seeing a record shop. Oh, great! Brian Wilson is coming up. Oh my! Well, not the singer. By Bare Naked Ladies, Brian Wilson, like, drove downtown in the rain, 9:30 on a Tuesday night, and just check out the late night record shop. So some of y'all might like that music. So that is beautiful. Um, Anything else? I think I'm going to leave that here with you for now, dear viewers. Thank you so much for bearing with me. This really is how I give out information and tell stories. It's just how I channel a lot of things through me, and I'm just experimenting right now. So bear that in mind as I work my way through this. And I appreciate you being here, and I really hope this helps you. And if you've gotten this far, comment down below. Do you like Pokemon, and what was your first starter Pokemon, or what is your favorite Pokemon? Because, we'd like to hear that from you too. And just remember, you hold value. The things you like, the things you own, the things that don't own you, the things you like to do in life, that has a purpose in your life, and it's time and place. And don't hold on so much to what others think of you. Hold on to what you know in your heart is true for you of the divine, and you will find your way to a better state of mind and being, to rise above from the ashes of the mushrooms that the topsoil has left behind. So go out there and bloom, my dear star flowers. And once again, have a nice day.